Ant-Man and the Wasp, 2018. The film opens in 1987 as Hank Pym, Michael Douglas, and his better half Janet Van Dyne, Michelle Pfeiffer, are set to go on a mission, leaving their young girl Hope, Madeline McGraw, being taken care of by their servant. As Ant-Man and the Wasp, they shrivel themselves to prevent a Soviet atomic rocket from exploding inside the American domain. Observing that they can't contract little to the point of slipping between the steel plates, Janet goes subatomic to drop the rocket into the sea. Yet it left her lost in the quantum realm, and she was assumed dead. Nonetheless, after Scott Lang, Paul Rudd, as the new Ant-Man, went sub-nuclear and managed to get back to typical size, Hank tells Hope, presently played by Evangeline Lilly, that there may be a method for bringing Janet back. In the current day, Scott has been under house capture in the wake of disregarding the Sokovia Accords by working with Captain America in Stuttgart, Germany. He is going through his day with Cassie, Abby Ryder Fortson, who is visiting him for the afternoon. Scott has an entire region set up with the assistance of Luis, Michael Peña, in his home for them to play in, including a slide that goes out the entryway. Sadly, Scott's foot gets through the fence and therefore the edge, and the FBI visits him. Specialist Jimmy Woo, Randall Park, drives the examination to ensure Scott isn't doing anything dubious. Scott discloses that he's needed to get imaginative to engage Cassie, including doing skillful deception wizardry, which intrigues Woo. The FBI leaves, and Cassie returns home with Maggie, Judy Greer, and Paxton, Bobby Cannavale. With just 3 days left under house capture, Scott gives his best to keep himself involved. He cleans up and then has a fantasy where he winds up as Janet playing hide and seek with a youthful Hope. Scott later calls Hank, notwithstanding both he and Hope not having addressed him since his capture. He informs Hank regarding the fantasy he saw. Hours after the fact, Scott is sedated by something flying in the room. Scott awakens to observe Hope driving him someplace in a contracted van. She tells him that she removed his lower leg wristband and put it on the giant ant Scott has lived with him. They show up at the lab where they show Scott that they have made a passage to the quantum realm with expectations of bringing Janet back. After Scott portrays his fantasy in full detail, Hank and Hope conclude that he and Janet are associated in view of the time he spent in the quantum realm. They are feeling the loss of a vital electronic part to get the passage to work, so they head to meet with somebody who has it. Hank contracts the lab and takes it with him. Nonetheless, they don't understand. They are being watched by a straightforward figure. The three show up at a restaurant where Hope meets with Sonny Birch, Walton Goggins, an underground market tech vendor, while Scott and Hank screen what is going on from inside the van. Birch knows Hope as Susan, however, he has as of now sorted out her character. When she shows up, Birch will not surrender the part that Hope needs, so she seems to leave. Birch and his thugs begin to leave, however, they are thumped around by Hope in her Wasp suit. Scott is intrigued to see that she has wings and blasters. She battles them in the restaurant's kitchen and manages to amplify a salt shaker to take out one hooligan, while likewise stumbling into blades being tossed at her. As Hope Snatc, he's the part, she is assaulted by the figure from Prior, Ghost, Hannah John Kamen. She can stage through anything, and that implies Hope's punches are futile against her. Scott joins Hope as Ant-Man in another suit to help her. However, Ghost escapes and advances toward the van and takes the lab from Hank. Scott carries Hope and Hank to stow away at X-Con, the security organization run by Luis, with Dave, Tip, T.I. Harris, and Kurt, David Dastmalchian, as his workers. There, they attempt to concoct an arrangement to get the lab back. Hank calculates that he needs to reluctantly look for help from a previous companion, an accomplice of his, Bill Foster, Lawrence Fishburne. Apparition, whose genuine name is Ava, goes to her home. She stages automatically and should rest inside an extraordinary chamber to control it. Scott, Hope, and Hank go in the mask to the college that Bill educates at. He keeps resentment with Hank over the work they did together many years sooner, Project Goliath, in which Bill arrived at 21 feet. Scott then sees Wu and his kindred specialists outside, thinking they know he's in there. Before they go, Bill lets them know that they can find the lab by changing a detractor on one of the suit's controllers. Hank says they can't utilize the new Ant-Man suit since it's a work underway, so Scott lets them know they can observe it in the more established suit, which is in a prize that Cassie took to school to look good and tell. Scott and Hope slip into Cassie's school, yet the controller on Scott's suit glitches, making him the size of a youngster. They get to Cassie's homeroom and get the suit out of the prize before they are spotted. The triplet finds Ava's home and tracks down the lab. However, she takes each of the three out and has them restricted. She uncovers she is working with Bill, who took her in as a kid. Her father, Elias Starr, Michael Cerveris, had endeavored a trial to arrive at the quantum realm, yet his own passage became shaky. His significant other Catherine, Rhiannon Steele, attempted to escape with youthful Ava, yet the young lady ran back for her father. The passage caused a tremendous blast, killing Elias and Catherine. However, Ava made do and her atoms undermined, bringing about her uncontrolled staging. She and Bill presently plan to utilize Janet's quantum energy to assist with turning Ava typical, regardless of whether it could kill Janet. Hank fakes having a respiratory failure to get Bill to snatch a tin of Altoids for his medications, which truly contain Hank's prepared ants that develop to a huge size, and assist with liberating them, permitting the three to get away and take the lab back. Subsequent to amplifying the lab, Janet assumes responsibility for Scott's brain, uncovering to Hope and Hank another calculation that will assist them with balancing out the passage and enter the directions to find her. However, she cautions them that they just a short time before the quantum realm turns out to be so unsound, they will not have the option to contact her for another century. Birch and his thugs go to ex-con and grill Luis, Dave, and Kurt utilizing a reality serum. However, the scoundrels demand that is not what it is. Luis uncovers that Scott is with Hope and Hank in the forest where they set up the lab. Ava shows up in the wake of having heard this data, and she takes out the wheels on Birch's van as she heads to find the legends herself. Birch then contacts the abnormal FBI agent Stoltz, Sean Clier, and lets him know where Scott will be. Stoltz tells Wu, and Luis rapidly cautions Scott with the go Al that he can get back before he is found getting away from his home capture. Cassie is with him and says he could utilize an accomplice to help him, meaning herself. However, Scott says he has Hope, which Cassie believes is additionally a solid match. Trust and Hank are gotten by FBI specialists once they recoil the lab. Stoltz snatches it, however he is taken out by Ava, who then takes the lab herself. Scott utilizes the prepared ants to assist Hope and Hank with breaking out of the FBI Central Command. The ants guide the three to the lab's area, and Luis goes along with them as reinforcement. Hank utilizes the giant ants to get Bill out so he can utilize his old suit to go into the quantum realm and track down Janet. The lab is contracted once more, and Luis gets it. Scott, as Ant-Man, is assaulted by Ava, yet he holds her off long enough for Hope and Luis to move away. Scott takes off on a flying ant to get together with Hope and Luis at the meeting point. However, they are trailed by Birch and his men, as well as Ava. Trust recoils and grows the van to in a real sense perplex the thugs, in any event, expanding a Hello Kitty Pez gadget to toss at one of them. Scott develops to Giant Man to stop them, yet as Ava intercedes, Hope turns into the Wasp to battle her. Birch takes the lab and rushes to the harbors where he sheets a boat to move away. Scott develops again to contact him and stop him to recuperate the lab. Luis appears in another vehicle to meet with them, yet Scott gets discombobulated from being gigantic to the point that he falls into the water. Trust swims down to save him. In the quantum realm, Hank almost loses his sign, yet he at long last manages to find Janet at her directions, and they rejoin with a kiss. In the meantime, the lab has gotten back to its generally expected size, and Ava and Bill are intending to get Janet's quantum energy. Hank and Janet begin to return as Ava and Bill start the cycle, which begins to deplete Janet. Scott and Hope appear and incapacitate their machine, giving Hank and Janet sufficient opportunity to emerge from the quantum realm. Trust reunites with her mother finally. Janet then sees Ava's concern, and she puts her hands on Ava to balance out her and stop her staging. Everybody leaves as the Saints take the lab. Charge wants to continue to safeguard Ava, however, she lets him know they need to separate. Outside the lab, Dave and Kurt assist Luis with weakening Birch and his hooligans prior to infusing them with truth serum as the police show up, prompting their capture. Birch and his thugs own up to everything. Charm thinks he realizes Scott is out in the city as Ant-Man, yet he goes to his home and tracks down Scott there. Yet again Scott's sentence is at long last finished, and he is a liberated person. The principal thing he does is go see Cassie. In the last scene, Luis gets a new, well-off client for his business to hold them back from going under. Hank carries Janet to the oceanside where they set up another house that he expands to its unique size. Scott contracts himself, Hope, and Cassie in a vehicle so they can involve a PC as a screen like a drive-in film. They are then bothered by an enormous butterfly. Mid-credits. Hank and Janet have set up the quantum tunnel in a van on a housetop with Hope's assistance so Scott can enter it. He acquires quantum energy to continue to assist Ava with being settled. Similarly, as Scott is all set back, the others neglect to